Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Design Machines. This is our 6th stream. This is the show where I design out in the open. For right now, I am making some posters for my music league. So these are a series of sort of posters based around lyrics of bands from this crazy contest that I run with my friends, a little community where we vote on songs, make collaborative playlists, and sort of battle out for, who has the best music taste, at least within our group. And so the prizes are these posters that I make for our awards ceremony. Now, we have been working on a few different ideas here. We've got our first place poster, our third place poster, and now we're working on our second place, which I think is going to be an Arcade Fire song, Deep Blue, which is about the AI that beat the Gary Kasparov in a chess match years ago. I don't remember the year or anything like that. We'll probably dig into what this event was and everything else like that. But yeah, let's have a look at some of our let's do a little recap on the work we actually did. So here we go. Let me transition over. Okay, so we got our file here, and since the beginning, we've got a little bit of work done on this namesake poster for No Name. We're going to refine this still, but I think we have a solid concept to start from. That is for Chris Galloway is third place. We have some concepts for our Idols poster, which is our first place winner for Phil. So we've got kind of like this, anti-Trump sort of propaganda poster vibe going on here. And then this week, we are starting our Arcade Fire song for Kevin, our second place winner. So we have got some lyrics here. Actually, I'm going to go into Genius. We're just going to dive right in this, not spend too much time on our recap this week. If you want to see kind of the progress we've made, check out the other episodes. But for now, yeah, let's just dive into some design. Let's take a little examination of this song here. So the first thing that we're doing, so I got to be careful when I'm streaming to YouTube so they don't copyright police don't get me, but I want to give you just a little sample of this. I'm going to see if this actually works through here. So I don't know if you could hear that. Looks like that might be coming through. But this is our song that we're working with here. I'm not the biggest I gotta mute my stream here. Hang on. Okay. Okay. Now get rid of that extra audio. We're gonna be analyzing these lyrics a little bit today. We had a quick pass at them last time. Like I said, I'm not the hugest Arcade Fire fan in the world. I like them fine. They're great. But I haven't really dove into their catalog, especially their newer albums recently. And so, I mean, this one's already 14 years old, so it's not exactly a new one, but I think it's a good song. And it's super interesting in an interesting time where we're dealing with AI is everywhere. It's all over the news and the social medias and everything else like that. Everyone's worried about, it taking jobs, some of it for good reason, some of it maybe overblown. But I think this will be a fun opportunity to actually talk about AI in the context of designing these posters. So, we'll dig into that a little bit. I know last time I talked a little bit about the Luddites, which I think this song kind of hints at without even knowing it. It's a similar sort of sentiment. So I think we might go into that a little bit too as we're sort of designing and figuring this out. So when I was thinking of which song to pick, let's see. Let's bring up our playlist here. I had a few candidates. I didn't even have the Arcade Fire one in here. I had, for KQ, The Rolling People by The Verve, Ain't That Peculiar by Fanny, Sleeping Sickness by City and Color, and X-Files as Bonobos. So all these, I had 4 candidates, and Arcade Fire wasn't one of them. But because of one of the comments, what one did we use here? This was historical events, I believe, which would make sense. KQ only recently figured out this song was about the famous computer versus human chess match and not just colors. This is a funny one. It's a good song. I think, like, I instantly got kind of images in my head. Maybe this neon chessboard cyberpunk I made a note for last time, which is very familiar. So, let's do a little bit of lyrical analysis here maybe and see, like, dive into deeper, maybe figure out some lines that we want to extract and base our sort of poster on, and see what other related things we can, come up with. See if we can come up with some concepts that kind of match this song and the place we're in. So, the first thing I want to do is let's kind of look through the genius here, because as always, I do this for every song. Go through the lyrics. One, it's good to like analyze them on your own. I think that's kind of a necessary step, but also it is helpful to see what other people have come up with. Sometimes they see metaphors and things like that are easy to miss or can be interpreted in their own way. This is another thing we talked about last time is the interpretation of art, and it's why a lot of like filmmakers, for example, especially in more surreal films that are a little ambiguous, will sort of refrain from telling you what it means to them, because they really do want you to interpret it for themselves. And often, even when they do have a very strong interpretation of what their movie is about, it doesn't mean that's universal. It doesn't mean you have to look at it and like you have a wrong answer of what that means. However that film impacts you in your life, or what it says or reminds you of, that is all 100% valid. And sometimes even on a grander societal scale, a director's work can be totally shaped by the social conditions that they are in, right? So if they might be making a Fast and the Furious movie and it has no political subtext towards it that's at least intentional, you can look at that movie and still pull out a lot of political subtext based on where that director is coming from, what decisions they make, and things like that. So all this to say is, like, art is subjective. That's a long way of saying that. And so that's no different from these songs. So I want to combine sort of my own personal interpretation of these and what it means in the context of my life, the life of Music League in general, the medium of a poster, and then also, what I think, might connect with Kevin, which will be a challenge because I've only met Kevin a couple times. He lives in Toronto, so we're gonna have a bit of a challenge here. I'm gonna be making some guesses here, but he's a great guy, so we'll see. Hopefully I do you justice, Kevin. So let's have a look. Let's dig in here. So here in my place in time. So yes, obviously this is setting the scene. This is the present, placing us in the present of the song, which I think is important because this is about times changing. And it's using the deep blue event of a computer beating a human at chess for the first time, like a professional chess player. And it is kind of one of those pivotal moments in technology, in computing, in maybe some would argue human progress. So it represents a lot in that little kind of seemingly not important event on its surface. So, and let's have a look. And here in my own skin, I can finally begin. Let the century pass me by, standing under a night sky. Tomorrow means nothing. So he's it feels like he's comfortable with where he's at. He's ready to he's not ready. Will Butler is not ready to, he's done. He's done moving along with technology, at least actively, and he's ready to just let it wash over him. And, he's not excited by these robots taking over. I can kind of relate a little bit, which is like the namesake of this podcast I don't know, what is this stream series? Based on an article I did like 10 years ago about AI, a little bit AI, and how we design things like machines so that machines can take over. So that's an aside. So yeah, the first match with Deep Blue. Okay, this is where we want to know. It's in the 90s, 96. Could you imagine, God, this was, I think I maybe had dial-up internet, just getting dial-up internet around this time. Probably a 56K modem, maybe a 14.4 modem, maybe. Anyone remember what what their first modem speed was? Jesus. So let me just pull some windows together here. So it's the late 90s. We barely have an internet. Or at least a World Wide Web. Gary Kasparov has this match to see if a computer can beat him, and then had a rematch apparently a year later. And so Butler paints the end of the century as a time of uncertainty and change. So this song was written like 15 years ago, which is kind of wild because we are much further along this right now. So standing under a notion of a night sky is one which stresses one's insignificant in relation to the vast universe spread above. The speaker feels similarly lost in a rapid mechanistic world in which humanity's supremacy is uncertain. I don't need to read this for you, do I? The night sky. So, darkness is something on the theme on the suburbs, especially in sprawl, the city symbolized by light. So it really talks about, I don't know this album well, but it sounds like it's an album that really is about holding on to maybe our natural state and less about technological progress as he sees it. He's kind of sick of maybe that technology isn't inherently good for us, and there's something beautiful about the natural world. That's, my interpretation from this. We cannot take the future for granted. We must act now. This is an interesting contribution. I don't know if I agree with this. This seems very nihilistic and sort of like it's irrelevant. And this says we can't take the future for... I don't know about this. I don't know about this submission. Anyway. I was only a child then, feeling barely alive when I heard the song from the speaker of a passing car. Okay. So this is more of an album reference here, apparently. Been praying for a dying star. So this is interesting. So a dying star, when a star dies, it turns eventually it collapses onto itself to form a black hole. And you don't want to be near a dying star. Heck, even the sun is going to die in I don't know, a few million years, billion years. I don't know. But it's going to grow, as it dies, it's going to grow huge and eventually engulf the Earth. So this is sort of a suicidal line, like a civilization suicide, I think. Like, he's kind of like, fuck this world, might as well end it all. Like, I can't wait for this to, like, it's a little depressing. But I can understand, like, poor Will. We watched the end of the century compressed on a tiny screen. So this is sort of like the turn of the century, year 2000. I mean, like, end of 97 to 2000. This talks about the New Year's Eve celebration in New York. It's kind of, I mean, I don't know if y'all grew up around then, around like Y2K. There was a whole bunch of hysteria that the world was going to end because we had programmed like the dates in computers to as 2 digits. So when it goes from 99, it'll flip back to 0 instead of 2000, wrecking a whole bunch of computer systems, causing all kinds of havoc. And the prediction was that would cycle out and cause like planes crashing and all this shit would happen. There were all kinds of crazy theories. There was actually a lot of work done to try and repair that, update software, everything else about that, so dates could be formatted differently. I think. So I think at the time it symbolizes like a weird point of technology possibly destroying the Earth. And it didn't, of course, but also you could argue that it did continue a catalyst of other things that still could destroy the Earth. Maybe that's a continued hysteria. We kind of like that. I think there's been like threats of the world ending, or what, like 2012, was there one 2008 maybe? I don't know. I can't keep up with all the apocalyptic predictions. I haven't heard one for a while tied to a year, so I don't know. Maybe this AI thing is the closest. So it refers to the ball drop in New York. Yeah, yes. Something was ending. Century was ending. Deep blue. So he's sort of painting a picture of like at the turn of the century, and like it's a pivotal time in technology. It's a little bit, and this is where like when I started thinking about this last week, kind of that idea of cyberpunk comes to mind. First, it's like artificial intelligence and computers. Even the word deep blue, it's a sense of like deep neon-y blue colors comes to mind in like a dark sort of setting. And so with him, he kind of sees it as maybe something very dangerous. Humans never imagined that machines would never be so powerful. Yeah, I mean, okay, here's a little story about it. This is what deep blue looked like. This could be another good visual reference. So, you know what? We're going to snag that. Let's do this. I'm going to make a copy of this image. Actually, can I just drag it right into here? Yeah, okay. Let's do that. This is a threshold moment, the last point in Kasparov's career, and in the history of chess, if not the world, when the notion of AI beating human at a fundamental human task would have felt unpredictable. This song is about these threshold moments and how we can only ever recognize them in retrospect, while perhaps we have a sense at the time that something was ending. It is only after they have ended that we realize they have happened for the last time, and it was only after the world has been radically transformed that we can grasp what has been lost. Okay, so that's cool. I think we are in a similar moment now, maybe with AI. We don't know the last things that are going to happen because of AI technology. And because right now, frankly, I'm not sold on a lot of it. I think a lot of it is sort of pretty Mickey Mouse, done poorly. I know there's innovations every day. Even Google announced a bunch of new stuff this week with their maps and their AIs and all this stuff that is pretty impressive and scary. But yeah, for a lot of it, for every like good thing, there seems to be like 1,000 very boring AI implementations or things that are based on like three kind of okay AI algorithms like ChatGPT and I don't know the other ones. But, you know, if you ask it to design something or illustrate something, it looks kind of hokey, kind of samey, not, maybe I'm being snobby, but it's not that good. The writing, it sucks. There's a certain tone that it has that feels very AI, at least to me. And no matter how I try, and believe me, I've tried, to get it to sound good and interesting, it just can't, the computer can't replicate it. I think a big part of that says more about us because it is scraping like a lot of the text that we've generated for marketing purposes. Like it's so boring, top 10 lists, and just like, you know, we are plagued with a sea of really boring marketing writing. I'm sorry to say, but like a lot of it is pretty poor. There are great writers out there that make some engaging content that is evergreen and it's good and it's useful, or even if it's not evergreen, it's just entertaining. But I'm telling you, the stuff AI is grabbing, it ain't it. Not yet, at least. Not to say it can't change, but yeah. So he makes a call out anyway here to put the cell bone down for a while. The night there's something wild, can you breathe it? So it's like bringing out this, like, put the laptop down. Night there's something wild, feel it, it's leaving me. It's like really a call to get back to our analog world. It's that, you know, this technology isn't everything. And I think that's kind of beautiful. It's also ironic considering especially this series is about generating everything in a computer. I'm not even sketching, but, you know, that's okay. I want to, you know, I believe it. This kind of brings me back to my Luddite speak a little bit last time. We just touched on it. So maybe we can find some inspiration from these guys too, because I think they are sort of an important group that kind of, they get a bad rap. Usually you'd call someone who's just afraid of technology a Luddite, but that's not really what they were about. Like let's take a little path down. Okay, let's look at Smithsonian Magazine, what they really fought against. So, oh my God. Okay, there we go. The label has many meanings. Technology wasn't really the enemy, and this is true. So, let's see here. Let's get through the opening preamble here. Yeah. Okay. So this is where it starts to get into it. The Luddite handed down from, I haven't read this article, so I don't know what it's going to say, but we'll see. The word Luddite handed down from a British industrial protest that began 200 years ago. Turns up that our daily language, okay. We're not confused about technology, but also the original Luddites were what being a modern one actually is. Okay, whatever. Oh my God, is this gonna get to it? Okay. Despite their modern reputation, the original Luddites were neither opposed to technology nor inept at using it. Many were highly skilled machine operators in the textile industry, nor was the technology they attacked particularly new. Moreover, the idea of smashing machines as a form of industrial protest did not begin or end with them. In truth, the secret of their enduring reputation depends less on what they did than on the name under which they did it. You could say they were good at branding. So, the Luddite disturbances started in circumstances at least superficially similar to our own. British working families at the start of the 19th century were enduring economic upheaval and widespread unemployment. A seemingly endless war against Napoleon's France brought the hard pinch of poverty, blah, blah, blah. So food was scarce and rapidly becoming more costly. Like, it was a pretty rough time. So where they were in Nottingham, a textile manufacturing center, British troops broke up a proud protesters demanding more work and better wages. So this is really a political protest, right? It's a thing that a lot of us maybe can identify with these days, especially if you work in a Starbucks or an Amazon factory, and are asking for to be unionized, or you want better working conditions. In the tech industry, we have a lot of union forming. The idea behind that is to improve working conditions, get better wages that keep up with inflation, because, as many of you are experiencing, inflation is killing us. It really is. And it's, so this is just people that are rightfully angry that basically the technology introduced, they recognized as not just technology blank, period. It was technology that was going to make their situations even worse than it already was. And you could say we are living in maybe a similar time right now, especially with artificial intelligence. And it's not because the writing's better. For example, the writing is not necessarily better coming out of AIs. But as someone who is actually at a conference for marketing and design agency owners, one of the biggest conversations was around how AI was going to be useful. And so they wouldn't have to hire people like copywriters anymore to do that work. They could rely on AIs to do it. So, like, you can say, oh, yeah, you can. There's a similar sentiment there, too, at the same place where it's like, oh, yeah, AI, it's like any other technology. People will have to adapt and change what their job titles are. They could be prompt engineers and stuff like that. Like, first of all, you're a writer. If you're a writer who's put years into this craft of putting words together in persuasive ways or entertaining ways or whatever way, writing is hard work. It is like any other art form that it takes a long time to really master and do well. When you've spent your career honing this skill and becoming a good writer, do you really want to step aside and be like, oh, I'll just be a prompt designer. I just want to tell an AI what to do. It's horrible. I don't want to art direct a robot. First, it's not going to do a good job. Second, like, how undignified does that feel? And third, like, how do we know even a prompt designer is going to be useful in like a year or two once AI evolves? It's in the baby steps of a lot of these kind of things. And like, it seems right now prompt writing is a bit of an esoteric art, but I don't think it's going to stay that way. Like, it's kind of a design flaw more than anything. And I think they're going to kind of find ways to read our minds better. As scary as that is. I'm no expert, but that's just my thoughts. And so I think what we're going through is a similar thing where we should be thinking critically about how these tools are used. Like, should we really be making AIs to take over the creative parts of our job, like design, art, things like that? Or should it be, why isn't it focused on, doing the monotonous stuff for us? Like doing the dishes, cleaning our houses, even on the internet stuff, just doing some like data entry, which I know it does that too, but it doesn't do it that well, honestly. Like, all the apps we use, it doesn't speak to anything. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my high horse on here, but like, the key thing here is that these were protesters, and they saw something that that they recognized would make their lives worse than it already was, which was pretty rough. So as the Industrial Revolution began, workers naturally worried about being displaced by increasingly efficient machines. But the Luddites themselves were totally fine with machines. They confined their attacks to manufacturers who used machines in what they called a fraudulent and deceitful manner to get around standard labor practices. They just wanted machines that made high-quality goods, and they wanted these machines to be run by workers who had gone through an apprenticeship and got paid decent wages. Those were their only concerns. What's wrong with that? Nothing is wrong with that. Somehow we twisted this into Luddites being against technology. But so in this instance, I mean, I'd consider myself a Luddite. I totally, I love technology. I use it every single day. I'm using it right now with you folks. I even use a little bit of AI every now and then. I mean, it's embedded in all these tools anyway. But the key is we need to be critical about what that means and how that fits into our lives. We want this stuff to be, we want it to take care of us, not to destroy us or change our employment or anything like that. And I think people haven't thought through that enough, especially business owners, especially heck in my own industry, in the marketing and design kind of world. That is for sure the truth is no one's really taking it seriously. So if we think about that, I think the Luddites are an important theme here. So I'm going to, let's do the good old handy Google image search, see what kind of imagery we come up with. Like, again, this is sort of some useful imagery, I think, here for, again, we don't want to ape anything here, but we might get some cool hints of what some of this stuff actually, some visual ideas. So I'm just going to start. Google does this thing here. I don't want to do that. So you can visit this. See, I've got to, pop-ups. God, talk about the state of the technology and the internet. How brutal are all these cookie pop-ups and everything now? It's like, talk about something that backfired. It's like, I love GDPR in principle and not tracking and all that, but boy, like the implementation of all these cookie banners has, I think, made the internet much less interesting, much worse. What do you think? Okay, let's. Okay. Oh my God! Look at this. Half of this stream is just pulling out pop-ups. Okay. Oh, what is this? It's a video about the Luddites. That's interesting. I'm going to watch this later. Okay. We're not going to watch that right now, though. What else? So, it's cool. They got, like, axes, the people destroying machines. I don't quite know how this... Oh, yeah, there's a little screenshot trick I didn't know you could do. Okay. Just going to drag some images in here. We're going to... We've got some looms. Again, I don't really have I have somewhat of a concept in my mind. Again, I said, like, neon cyberpunk chessboard, which obviously is quite the opposite of this. But a lot of times when I'm designing, I like to think in opposites because you never know. That's where some of the best ideas actually come from, is trying to drag two completely polar opposite concepts and ideas around. And, oh my goodness, it looks like Beavis and Butthead. Okay. Let's look at that again. That is totally a Butthead illustration. Sorry to whoever it's illustrated this. God. So it says, oh, here's some, like, a more contemporary illustration of a modern Luddite thing. That is probably an interesting article to check out as well. Let's just open that up in a side thing here. Okay. That's kind of interesting as a graphic design piece, like a propaganda poster from there. I don't know. Maybe there's some type ideas in here. I've never really thought about doing, maybe you can combine some cyberpunk with some Luddite era specific type. I don't know. The new Luddites. Oh, God. This looks horrible. I kind of dig their sweaters, but this looks a little pretentious. What is this going to be? Gen Z, half their working. I mean, it's just a bad stock photo. Excuse me, just had to cough. Okay, so the Luddite Club. Okay, this is yearning for physical experience. You know, I like it. Gen Z, you rule. Good on you. This is very funny. You know, it's like a fashion thing in its own right. There's something very funny and silly sometimes about a lot of counterculture in their own uniforms that they do make, which also becomes its own eventual mainstream culture. It's like we are all in that era, but then eventually, because we become quote uncool out of that, the next generation tries to be the different part, and it ends up being just engulfed into, this is the capitalism. We all just get engulfed into the next irrelevance. So, okay. What see, like, these people know MIT technology review. So you know what? I'm gonna Instapaper this for later. And this one. By the way, Instapaper. Good productivity hack. You can't just stop and read things every day, right? While you're working. You gotta just save some of this shit for later. So I'm Instapapering right in this stream. So here we go. We've got not really what I'm going for. I mean, this is kind of cheese, but you know, we can pull cheese and sometimes make it not so cheese. Some factory stuff. Like, I like looking for, opportunities for imagery here. Like, we got these looms and stuff that could work. Yeah. Okay. So, I think this is a good amount on the Luddites for now. We got some, at least the most sort of superficial. Look, it's so funny. There's a I didn't know there was a neo-Luddite revolution. I thought I was the only, like, one of the few, but I guess not. It makes sense. I'm gonna read all these because maybe for next time it'll spark. You never know where inspiration comes from, so maybe next time. Okay, let's see here. It's funny seeing tech pioneers as this. It sort of takes a sort of communal concept and almost makes it a little bit puts a bit of saviorism on it, which I don't love. Okay. And the last thing I want to start to look at is, let's just look at simple chess. We're going to look up deep blue, and we're going to look up some chess too. Different ways of just displaying. It's like a simple thing. We all know it's a checkerboard, but let's just look at some different ways of maybe displaying chess, right? You could go a chess piece. You know, a full chess board at an angle. Or straight on like this. Generally, in my style, especially with these posters, I like to go a little head on. This is the other thing. You could do almost like the digital rendition of like a classic, like chess.com. It's like kind of this weird flat top-down thing, which could actually work for something like this, considering this is a flat poster and my design style kind of lends itself to that. So let's see here. What is this round chess? 3-man chess? My God. See an AI do that one. Yeah, I probably could. Okay. Anything else that's interesting here? This is a silly stock photo. It's got these opposing sides, which, again, you never know where the stuff comes from, but let's see. Just a raw checkerboard. I don't know. It's not worth keeping. We can make a checkerboard easy enough. Okay. Oh, you know what else would be good? It doesn't have to be the checkerboard itself, but what are some... Let's see. There's like the chess timer is another maybe opportunity. What does that look like? Okay. So, here we go. Excuse me today if I sound a little phlegmy. I am feeling a little phlegmy, and I think it's because of my coffee. Let's see. You got any other interesting sort of... There's, of course, a digital chess clock. That one's cool. Ooh, I just want one for my desk. Damn. That's sweet. Yeah, I mean, you got two little timers and buttons. Not much to it. But hey, we can find inspiration everywhere, like I always say. And then last, let's try, well, not last, because we're going to try a couple more things. Let's try Gary Kasparov. Let's grab a cheesy photo here. Him in front of a chessboard. I don't... Shade ain't gonna go anywhere possibly, but I think this is a pretty... I know I've seen this portrait of him. Famous portrait. You never know. Do we use his face? Probably not, but... Oh, this is actually when... This is with Deep Blue. Okay, so let's take this. Could be something interesting here. Also the Russian flag there, so... I think that's missing the point to go with the Russian angle of this, though it's important. Okay. This looks like a similar televised match. Oh my god. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I love this photo. This is insane. Am I remembering to drop all these in here? Some of them. I think I missed a couple. That's okay. Actually, I do want to get this one. This is great. Again, I'm not gonna like source these in the actual poster, so it doesn't matter how big these are. I just need to get an idea of like kind of the composition and stuff like that. This common like head face palm kind of look, it kind of cracks me up. It's sort of like a common theme. Maybe there's some fun gesture that we could get out of this from that very look. I don't know. I'm going to sort these photos a little bit. The chess, Gary Kasparov. A lot of this is cheesy, and that's okay. Some Luddites. Okay. I'll organize those better in a bit. And then let's go Deep Blue. Not the color. Let's go IBM. Okay, here it is. Oh, we actually get a scene from the checkerboard there. That could be a very valuable reference. We have just an image of deep blue here in a museum of some sort. It's our same little image there. Okay. Maybe a little closer up on the computer screen. Okay. IBM, of course, the manufacturer of Deep Blue. Oh, this is perfect. Oh, they made a poster themselves. Let's see this. Oh. By IBM Research and Science Photo Library. So they actually made a poster of this. This is cool. So we could kind of mimic this idea a little bit, and I think I would adjust the colors to be a little more whatever, but this is actually kind of cool. It's got some opportunity for some type integration potentially. There's some text along the board and everything there. I don't know what this site is, but interesting. Okay. So let's start from there. I think this thing should be a deep blue base because, you know, it's that obvious art direction. Deep blue. It's about the color deep blue. I think I must have forgot a few images to drag them in, but that's okay. We got what we needed. So let's have a looky. I'm going to close some of these windows up a little bit here. Organize my workspace a little. That here. Expand it so y'all could see a little better more what's going on. So, as I'm looking at this, I mean, I said this in the beginning of the last one. I almost instantly got this idea of a neon chessboard, and I want it to look a little cyberpunk. So this is kind of cool. We've got, I'm going to just roughly draw a chessboard here on here and just let's see where that goes. Let's start. It's a start. Let's get us down a path. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares by 8 squares. So first thing we're going to do, it's got like these rules bars behind them. I'm going to add those in. We may not use them, but okay, let's bring our grid back, which conveniently, let's see how many squares we actually have in here. We might change this up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Of course, or wait, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is a 13, of course, it's a 13-inch wide poster, so let's work with that a little. If we have 13, see, I can stick to 1-inch grids for now. We can always expand it. So let's go like this. We're going to give this a color. I'm going to go deep blue for now. Maybe a little more magenta. I don't want full-on purple. It should be pretty dark blue. Can we like... So this is CMYK too, remember. So we want to get this, I think, in this sort of neighborhood. I'm going to say a little... Should have a lot of magenta. I like the purpley color. That gives it sort of that cyberpunk look a little more. Yellow. There's a lot of yellow in here. What happens if I reduce yellow? Let me take it out. And take out some black. Oh. I hit escape. Okay. Or hit enter. Okay. What if... What do we get here? Let's deepen it. Add a little more black. I'm feeling... maybe 40. Okay. So I have this nice, deep, rich blue here. And we're going to make this... I'm going to make this exactly 1 inch by 1 inch. Again, a little OCD, but then I'm going to put it exactly 1.5. Sometimes the numbers are the best way to position things. So that is exactly in this square here. Okay. Now, I'm also going to add a stroke to it. For now, I am going to... Oh yeah, we can do this. I'm going to make it black. And I'm going to make it... I'm going to bring up my stroke panel. Where are you? Here you go. I'm going to give it a weight of 2 points so that it sits on either side of our grid line and kind of has some overlap with the neighboring grid squares. Okay, so I have this square corners. I think that's the way to go on this, and then aligned on the center of the stroke, on the center of the box. So it's not sitting outside of the box. It's not sitting in the box. We can always tweak that. But let's now take this neighboring one and make sure it's in the right position. And I'm going to give it another color. So in this one, we got like this. I'm just going to drag this up here a little bit. So we got this similar blue background here. We could totally ape this. It's not quite as cyberpunky as I want. So what I might do is actually change this to more of a magenta, like a pink. And I think what I will do, what I like to do often is, because this is not only a series with the same winners, it should also be a bit of a series with the same people. But you know what? I'm actually not using this concept anyway, but let's use this pure magenta color. I think those two combo, it's like a very cool neon cyberpunk thing, which is kind of the vibe I'm going for here. You know what else? For now, I don't think I like black back here. For now, just for the time being, I'm going to change this to white. Oh yeah, and remember, I'm always bad with this. I'm going to bump our layers into here. Paste in front. Give this also a stroke. Where are my panels? Are all over the place. Oh my god, do you see this? Okay. Here we go. I just like it. I like to, especially when I'm working on like this tiny laptop screen. I've got like a little portable monitor beside me to help keep things in check, but it's kind of, there's not a lot of screen real estate, so I like to keep my canvas as open as possible so I can just look at the work. Okay. So, 2-point stroke might be a little bit big for our purposes here. Oh yeah, I'm going to lock this down so I'm not dealing with this canvas all the time. Okay, and so we got our regulation chessboard here. 8 blocks. So, oh, I locked my artwork as well. So let's just take this for a second. I'm going to paste it on here so I can still work with it. So we have a couple options here. We can, so let's just get the rest of this board out. So we've got it here. Oh yeah, the nice thing I could have done up there too is, now that I've made one copy and place it, I can just hit Command D and it'll put it in the right place. Now, obviously, this is not a proper chessboard because we've got all the rows need to be reversed. So easy fix to that. We'll just gather up every second one. And we're going to go arrange, transform. Where is it? Can reflect. There's just one way to do it. There's, and then look, voila, we got a chessboard. So boom. Let's just take off the grid here. So on white, I don't really love this as is, but if we go select our border and make it the same color as the background, that actually to me looks pretty cool. It's like a nice, kind of has this effect a little bit, but it's a little more integrated into the background. It looks like it's a part of it, not just kind of overlaid. Another thing we could do is try and experiment with a totally different color, like say, I don't know, let's go crazy, yellow or green, something like that. But I think for now, let's just try and blend it with the background. What we could do if we decide we like this is also to expand it, and then we could just make these gaps so it doesn't matter what the background is. But because this is print, I don't need to worry too much about that. I don't have to have a dynamic background like I would on the web that where I might not know the background of a piece. So in those cases, I would usually remove the stroke from the square itself so it shines through. But excuse me. This way, it just let's integrate this into the poster just with some strokes. Okay. So as a size, this could be okay. I'm gonna group it so that I can move it around willy-nilly and put it in the middle. Put it in the middle that way or whatever. So we could leave it at that. And, well, it looks okay if we have other stuff around it, but I think it's a little small for what I'm going for now in this concept. So, whoops. Wrong button. We're going to bring up our grid again. We're just going to see, how does this, let's bring it to the extreme. Let's bring it back out to, I normally go 1 inch in on all those. So we'll say 1 inch in that way. Bring it, just align it to the top for now. And, okay. We've got sort of a chess board here that we can start playing with. Maybe it doesn't go up there. Maybe it goes closer to down here. And if we do something similar, it could have that kind of pattern on there, or have this sort of like window look. I don't know if we're looking at window yet. We'll see. So we got a bit of a deep blue reference anyway. The one thing that we can do, this might be a good candidate up here to do like a, let's try this. Let's add some like, we need the artist name and the song name. That's for sure. So that's an easy bit of text to put in here. It kind of looks like it could be, it's a Helvetica-like font. It might be, I don't know if that's what it is. It's a little blurry, but let's go with that. Let's sort of use our Neuhaus grotesque. For now, we could change this, but, you know, it's easy. Let's start with, let's not get too wrapped up in what font we're using quite yet. We'll use display. I'm going to jack that up to maybe 36. It's already looking pretty cool. And then we're going to go halfway here. We're going to call this Deep Blue song title. And let's try this little thing. Let's ape this. Let's steal this exact design here. I'm not above that. And let's, what size? How big should we make this? So I like to make it in relation to the grid, and again, kind of stick with whole numbers. So We got this 5 by 5.5 width by, let's just do a 1 inch, see how that looks. Oops, we did not want to constrain that. Go there. It's not exactly how that looks on there, and that's okay. We don't want it to necessarily. So I'm going to send that to back. And we're going to color our type white. And then just, for now, just eyeball that in there. So if we zero in on there, it's okay, but it doesn't, it kind of like, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like it, and I don't know if we want to do a reference to that anyway exactly. But if we're going cyberpunk, what are some things, you know, I didn't look at cyberpunk yet, but let's do that. Let's go back to a little bit of image research. This is going to be some cheesy stuff, and it's going to be hard not to not have this video game here. Oh God, AI stuff is very, well, maybe it's okay in this case to go AI, but let's go concept art. You can also look up some visual references to like some movies, like Blade Runner is very cyberpunk, or Hackers, the movie. But let's see what we got here. So, I don't, for some reason, I feel a little averse to the video game stuff. It just seems a little too obvious, or I don't know. I'll grab a couple just to get the colors, if nothing else, because I think those neons are kind of cute. Let's forget concept art, because obviously that's going off the video game concept art. Let's just try movies, see what that yields. Yeah, of course we got Blade Runner. I love this movie. Just visually, like the colors, the lighting, the music, the sound design. God, Denis Villeneuve in his movie, like the Dune movies, also beautiful, crazy good music. Let's see, a lot of neon. The Matrix, that's very cyberpunk. There's something I love about the Matrix and like its leather uniforms and trench coats. It's such a like, it's such a funny, it's almost like a BDSM kind of look in some ways, like some sex club thing. Like you go to like Berghain in Berlin, and you know there's a group of Germans dressed in those outfits there. That's what I think of when I watch, especially if you watch the Matrix sequels, I think. Damn, it's kind of funny. Oh God, Total Recall. I gotta watch that again. Such a good movie. Johnny Mnemonic. I don't know why this one I'm gravitating towards, but Keanu's kind of like the cyberpunk guy, right? Being in the Matrix, doing these. What else do we got here? Yeah, I never really thought of RoboCop in that light, but it also has this sort of like, it's definitely got that kind of, it's a more subtle vibe. Also great movie about the police and corporations and capitalism in general. Like, I mean, you gotta watch the what's his name? Goddamn, he's the director of RoboCop, also director of Total Recall, L, Basic Instinct. Dutch guy. I don't know. Anyway, super crazy political guy. I love his movies. Okay. What do we got? A lot of these like billboard, like this is interesting. Like sides of buildings. I've been spending a bit of time in Bangkok lately, and that city is like a cyberpunk city already. It is like being in Blade Runner in some areas of the city where you have like these big advertisements on the sides of buildings and stuff like that. It's very like raw on the ground with street vendors, neon lights. It's like a whole different place. I actually really love it. I am not grabbing any of these photos. Okay, drag. Oh yeah, Strange Days. Good New Year's movie too. Okay. I think we got some look. I don't know why RoboCop matters for this. I just like RoboCop. It was actually the first R-rated movie I ever saw. I saw it when I was 6 years old. Can you believe it? If you know how violent that movie is, there's no 6-year-old that should be watching it. I'm pretty sure that traumatized me for life. Okay. We got some cyberpunk. So what do we got here? This is kind of like if you've ever done the mind mapping exercise where you be like, oh, this is sort of a visual way to do it, where you just gather up some visual inspiration. In this case, I might just take colors from the cyberpunk, which is already there, right? Like this magenta and purple kind of look. I want this to sort of combine chess, but I want to hold on to the meaning of the song as well, which is really this sort of Luddite, like, be cautious of technology, what technology you let in, and, you know, that aspect of it. I think the chess is sort of maybe the obvious part of it. So how do we bring computers and Luddites into this? This is going to be a bit of our challenge this time around. I'm actually going to give the background a bit of a color here, just so I can see where our footer begins. Maybe I'll make it gray for now. This might help lend itself to some further ideas too. Okay. So let's see. We've got hammers. We've got machinery. We've got axes. We've got things smashing. It's all about smashing the machine. So what if we kind of think about this? How can we smash a chessboard? Well, there's a couple things we can do here. We can smash this almost like a piece of glass. That would be kind of interesting. We can make this into a computer. Ooh, whoa. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Here is a piece that is maybe we can do a CRT screen similar to this. I know the proportions aren't exact, but a lot of times you can find, like if we flip a monitor on its head, let's see. It's not going to be that far dimensionally different. So let's see. If I take a screen that's 4 by 3, so this is the aspect ratio of an old school monitor. I'm just going to give it a bright color so we can see it. I'm going to proportionately enlarge it. I'm going to proportionally put it this way. And then bring it this way. It is so damn close to the proportions of this. It doesn't look like it. When you have like a rectangle and you flip it on its side, it makes it look like, when it's vertical, it makes it look longer. And when it's horizontal, it looks more square. which is a funny effect. It's the same sort of one of those optical illusions. So actually our canvas is pretty damn close. And so, and you know what? We can use that. We can make it even accurate if we want to here, which I don't think is necessary, but yeah, in fact, I think it's, I don't know. Depends if we want some space around it. In that case, in this case, maybe we do make this back to its original dimensions of 8-inch squares, and we bring it to the front, and we go, okay, the idea I'm going through, I'm going to speak through this idea so I don't just do it in my head. This is the hard part a little bit sometimes when you get on a tear, is like, okay, let's talk through this concept together a little bit. I want to bring you along with me. So what I'm thinking is having this be on a computer monitor. And the computer monitor itself is smashed or being smashed, or so it looks like the someone has gone ahead and took their sledgehammer to it. So I'm just resizing that to see, and this sort of lends itself to this sort of deep blue poster a bit here too. So we're gonna have deep blue, we're gonna have arcade fire. I'll line those up with the edges of the board. I think that font has to be a little smaller there. Okay, so that doesn't look like a screen yet, of course. So what we might do here is we might think about this as sort of like, maybe it's a gray computer. For some reason, brown is coming up. Like something. I don't love the color brown for these posters, but maybe. You never know. Okay, just for now. And then this can be white. Or actually, if we want it maybe a little like gritty, we could play around with this. It doesn't have to match this exactly, and in fact, it might be better if it doesn't. It might be a more interesting poster. I want to bring these font sizes down to maybe 24. Bring this down to maybe, let's try 1/2 inch first. Oh yeah, that could work. Let me tweak where that sits a bit. Ooh. Throwing my mouse around the place here. Okay. With those. Oops, we just align to canvas, which I don't want to do. Let's get that in there. Okay. Just gonna group that, put that together, and kind of bring it there. We can play with the exact dimensions. Again, we're just going for concepts here. We're not really looking to make this thing final yet. The one thing, oops, we're moving this. I don't want to move that. What I want to do, oh yeah, is kind of, again, make this look a little more like a CRT. What I will do if this is final is actually make this more of a squircle. So like kind of make it a bit more of a rounded rectangle. I don't know if there's an easy way to do this in here without kind of messing with the edges. I might just have to find like a, let's see. How do I distort this again? Diffuse glow. Yeah, someone. It's none of these things. Distort and transform. This is what I want. Pucker and bloat. We want to bloat this a bit, but ugh, that looks horrible. No, it's not what we want. Maybe if we get rid of our corners, it'll do it right. But again, I think it's Illustrator's pretty not like they haven't really got great effects. Honestly, I don't really love them. Oh, that is just not what I'm going for. It's like almost like that, you know, but like why the pinchy corners? Yeah. Weird. So I don't use this part of Illustrator a lot. I generally try to just make it using the pen tool or the Bezier tool, but I think that's maybe where we gotta go. Okay. Let's not get too hung up there. I think we're gonna blow that up a little more. Let's make this maybe just 10 inches. Oops, we're losing our proportions. Let's not forget that. Can make a window bar up here, kind of like Windows. Again, I'm not going precise here. I just want to know, do we have a concept here? I am going to do this so that I can... No, we're going to get out of here. Okay. I'll make a squircle later if I like this. I don't even know if I like this concept fully yet. Okay. So let's grab our illustration. I'm going to bump it down here so it's more in the middle of the poster. I'm kind of liking those proportions. But I think this is not the right tone. We make this... In fact, I think I'm going to make this canvas the same as that color. And then I'm going to... I don't know if we even need it. I was going to do like a almost skeuomorphic television around there. So maybe like a box like this. And then color that more brown. Or gray. Gray is probably more fitting. Or black. And then maybe give that a little bit of some corners just to smooth it out a bit. It looks kind of like an iPad. Which, that might not be a bad... It's kind of a more modernized thing, which may not be a bad take either. I don't super love it, but it's funny where these paths can take you sometimes. So we've got this. I don't know where to put the lyrics yet, but I got some ideas brewing in my head for how to bring some Luddite stuff in here as well. Like we can put these chess sort of pieces in here. I'm not going to put... We're going to make this checkers for right now. And I'm just going to put some pieces in. I don't know. Maybe there's a way to incorporate these so that... Oh, it must be on a different layer here. Well, let's check our layers. Yeah, sure enough, I'm sitting on that damn background layer again. Here we go. So I'm just putting circles in here for now. Sometimes one thing I like to do when dealing with something like this, and I did it on some other posters earlier, was just coming up with some ways to maybe interpret lyrics or beats in a different sort of way. So for example, like visually without the words, like on this Larry Heard poster, doing the MIDI beat for the song. It has meaning there. I don't know if there's anything that we could do with like this grid here for chess. Maybe there's a special move, or we can use like maybe instead of chess pieces, we use like axes and hammers and things like that in there. Not sure, but we can have fun with it. I also have to figure out a way to incorporate lyrics in here. So that could be, let's see, actually we didn't even pick lyrics yet. So let's see if there's anything that stands out. So this one's a little more jumpy aroundy. And again, this is kind of how I work. A little messy, but we get there. Let the century pass me by standing under a night sky. Tomorrow means nothing. That's okay. This is sort of... It could fit with a smashed TV screen with the chess on it. Dying Star. There's like something cool about the black hole look too, but we watched the end of this century compressed on a tiny screen. Dead star collapsing. Something was ending. This is very cool. I don't want to do the Kasparov thing. I think it's too obvious to put on there. In the night, there's something wild. Can you hear it breathing? Okay. This could be cool, but I think maybe this is too obvious. But I'm thinking I like this lyric here. I'm gonna paste that on to our composition here someplace. So again, I'm just gonna use our display font. I'm not maybe tweak how this goes. Here we go. We won't know. We could do this on a line somewhere. This could be like directions. It could be, we could make the words like appear on this piece. It could be, the biggest thing is I want it to feel incorporated and not just like some text placed on the screen. So this is going to be a task for next week, I think. We're almost out of time. I gotta give up this room here at my co-working studio, so I'm gonna end it. I think this is pretty good progress. I think I think I'd rather make this a little more CRT like. I want to play with some cracks in the screen. I have worked with a similar tie back to Little Crack. If you see in this poster for Alt J, we've got, let's see if I can zoom in a bit. We've got this little crack in the lens, and so maybe borrowing a little homage to that little piece there too. We can maybe make a more of a spidery crack in here. I also have some like cheap illustration libraries that I can call on for that too. That might actually fit well for this, because you don't have to draw everything. You can use some stock photos or whatever. So this is where we're at. I think this is like aesthetic, like the colors I'm really loving in it. The composition I'm kind of loving. I don't love the iPad shape on it. But I'm going to think about that. I'm going to sit with that. It might be the one nice callback to, it's like a convenient little accident that calls back to more contemporary times. So, yeah. So I think let's leave this here. Thank you for hanging out with me again. I'm going to be doing a bit of traveling this week and next week. So the next time you see me and I'll be doing this, I'll be in Portugal, probably in Lisbon. So the time, I'm probably going to adjust the time. It might be a little later in the week. I think I'm traveling on Tuesday. So there'll be a little bit of a gap between the next one. So stay tuned. Yeah, I want to keep this going. I'm starting to feel pretty good. We still got like exactly a month to finish these, but I think we have enough like solid concepts for a series here. And I think it's just going to take a little bit of refining and tweaking to take these home. Overall, I'm liking this Arcade Fire direction. It looks cool. So, yeah. If you want to keep checking these out, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Just reach out to me. I'm on Mastodon at, oh God, I don't even know how to find like a Mastodon user, but here it is. Travis Gertz at typo.social on here, or find me on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Travis Gertz. Connect. Yeah, let's chat design. I'm thinking about, maybe later bringing on someone to chat with to talk through some things. Experiment with the guests. This whole thing is an experiment, so I don't know. We'll see. So until next time, see you later. I hope you learned something. Bye.